I also regret that you typed that, Uncle Chaw.
I regret having seen that you typed that.
I regret most of what I did my sophomore year in college. I thought we were sharing regrets.
Yeah, I was going through the years of my life I regret, and there's too many to count.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But you know what? We live and we learn and we improve.
Everyone was sharing the what was it? You as a teenager bet some of y'all skip or whatever. So of course I did it because a bunch of my friends were doing it and whatnot. I'm not old.
Yeah.
All of us. Because the thing I was realizing is, basically everybody's posting stuff from when they were 16 or 17. I was 16 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's insane.
It was like, I posted one, I think I was 17. It was from the Patriots Day football game in junior year at Conestoga. And I'm decked out. It's the one of me in the American flag tank with the American flag bandana, and as one does. Gotcha. But I was just looking at it, I'm like, man, I was a kid. I was a child.
Yeah, isn't it wild?
I find pictures of you and I from back then too all the time.
The flags.
Yeah, the flag one. I think that's archived still.
I hope so.
I'm gonna bring it back. I'm bringing that back.
It's such a good one.
It probably is from about 10 years ago, right?
I think so. That was pretty early on.
Because you and I met when I was 16. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's wild.
Decade. Nice.
Let's go. We made it.
In fact, we met at the beginning of March. When I was 16. Yeah, because you and I met right after I was hanging out with Matt because I was sad about getting dumped.
That's right. Yeah. I feel like I remember it being warmer than March when we met.
I think it was just a warm March.
Yeah, it might have been. It probably had to be.
Yeah, it was probably like mid-March.
Yeah, but I mean, like, we were sitting on his driveway, like, comfortable at sunset.
True. Yeah, either way.
You now know the origin story of how this happened.
Exactly. I was sad.
Yeah. Weren't we all in high school?
Weren't? Aren't? All right, but yeah, so the reason we decided to go with the theme for this specific stream is that for the most part, it seems everyone was really enjoying the Bigfoot video. That it was a good opener to this series we're going to be doing, but the part that the most people took issue with was the Patterson-Gimlin film analysis. And I'll be honest, I wasn't going to go that in depth on it at first. I was just going to be like, here's what the experts say. And then I did a little bit more digging. It was longer than I anticipated it was going to be, but whatever, I'm not mad about it. Fleshed the video out. We did decide maybe we should do a full video on the Patterson-Gimlin tape, but the other thing was, what I said is that I don't see the muscle movements that people are claiming are there beneath the suit. And we'll talk a little bit more about just the general Bigfoot story to start this guy off. But that was the big point of contention, is I don't think that you can see muscle movement underneath the suit.
No.
Or underneath the skin, I guess.
Well, the thing is, some of the stuff that I saw was people were specifically talking about, in the enhanced one, and that it's trustworthy because, this, that, or whatever. I mean, you can rationalize that till the cows come home, but I just don't know how much I personally buy essentially a remastered or enhanced version, because even if you're coming directly from the original negative was it Super 8 or was it 16 millimeter?
I think it was 16.
Okay, 16 is definitely much better than an 8 millimeter.
Yeah.
But even still, with the quality of the original video, tough. The only way I'd buy it is if it was a remastered version of the original negative, so essentially a rescan, like a fresh scan of that negative. But
which is gone.
Yeah.
Just lost to time. Nobody knows where it is.
Yeah.
And we'll probably go over it when we do the full-length Patterson-Gimlin. We'll go over like all the shenanigans with ownership of this tape and how it was funded, and the fact that he was making a Bigfoot movie.
Yeah.
That was going to include flashbacks to the Ape Canyon incident. So obviously, if we're going to talk about this, we got to go quickly, at least in case nobody's seen the Friday video, through how this develops, because there are a few mentions of, stuff that could be considered Bigfoot. Not necessarily the tracks, but, going back before the 20th century, and we'll get into those in the Frontiersman Tales episode. But it really starts up around 1924. And that is when you have a group of miners, the only named one of which that I could find was Fred Beck. And they are out prospecting in the Mount St. Helens area. They've been prospecting there for a while. So far as I can tell, it was not called Ape Canyon back then. Somebody said it was, but nobody used the term Ape Canyon in 1924.
Yeah.
To describe the area. It seemed that it was.
I would imagine it was derived from, the whole
Ape Man
thing.
incident. Yeah. I could be wrong about that. To be clear, I'll go and I'll do some more digging into it. Because, of course, we're going to be talking about the region during both the Native American and frontiersman videos.
Yeah.
Way the story goes that these guys have been prospecting in the area for several years. They had been hearing weird noises, seeing large footprints. And one night, Fred Beck and the leader of the group, Hank, they're out getting water from a local spring, and they see some large, hairy figures. And, they shoot at them, as one does. Shoot first, ask questions later, Yeah. They allege that they hit one, but I mean,
how can you really
know? It was dark. It was getting dark, I should say. And then after shooting at the one, they say that around midnight they were awoken by the sound of stuff crashing against the side of the cabin. And some of the papers report that stones came through the roof and people were concussed and blah, blah, blah. Fred Beck says none of that happened. He says that there were stones thrown, but they were small. The building was sturdy. Nothing got through it. But there was one spot in the wall where there was a hole. And so through that hole, they were shooting at the big feet. They saw them walking around. And, then it kind of subsided as the night went on. And the next day they went and they reported it to the Rangers. And Hank walks into the ranger station, goes up to Ranger Welch and says, "Ranger Welch, there's Indian devils out there. There's mountain devils." And Ranger Welch goes, "Hmm?" And Hank goes, the mountain devils. And Ranger Welch goes, "What's a mountain devil?" And he goes, "The mountain devils." And Ranger Welch goes, "What's a mountain devil?" And Hank goes, "The mountain devil." And so as you can imagine, this conversation goes nowhere.
It would make sense that there were implications that the hard stuff coming down from Canada was really hitting a whole new high.
Which somebody did say that it probably was the because I remember when we mentioned that somebody was like, "Oh no, the stuff they were growing up there was pretty strong back then." And I went and I checked. The allegation was quite specifically moonshine.
Yeah.
Although there were it was two different papers, so it could be that one paper was suggesting they were just zaza'd out of their gourd. The other could be, pity for it. The other could be that there were just two different, and one said it was some of that rare Mountain Dew. And by Mountain Dew, of course, they did not mean the gamer beverage. They meant, that drank.
Also, love to y'all who enjoyed the MLG references in the video.
I didn't even see those.
Really?
Yeah, no, because I was doing the Tom Messick stuff.
When you said gamer beverage in the video, there's hit markers on the Mountain Dew, and then there's the little rainbow dancing frog, and I can't remember if I had.
Does anyone know what the timestamp is?
I can't remember if I had the sniper scope, the quick scope sniper, come up on you. Yeah. But
that's fantastic.
Yeah, there were a couple people that were like, "Oh my god,
I love that."
Did you see the Link and Mike in there?
No, I was barely able to watch the video. I was popping in and saying a few things, then popping in research.
Every time you said Link for a few frames, I put Link from the Zelda games, and then when you eventually said, and his, I can't remember what you described his name as, but it's not such as name Mike.
Yeah,
it's just Link and Mike Wazowski.
So that explains a comment that I saw.
Yeah.
Good lord. Good job, though. Good references. Yeah, so Ape Canyon's kind of that first one. Everybody, for the most part, it's written off. And, Fred Beck doesn't come out with his version until the 60s. For the most part, it's written off as, these are just some crazy old miners. Or one guy said that they were telling a little bit of a tall tale.
Yeah.
But the mistake they made was, not satirizing enough and seeming too serious, which one could imply that that's because they were being serious. Who knows? I mean, personally, I look at it and I'm like, there is nothing about that story that I find particularly odd. It was a different time. There was Dude, the Apache didn't stop fighting until 1924.
Which is
Like, they did not stop fighting against the U.S. until 1924. Like, everyone likes to think about it as, oh, the Roaring Twenties. It's like, dude, that's the East Coast.
Yeah.
That is, the Roaring Twenties is happening, like, in the established, developed parts of the United States. California, at this point in time, it's growing, but it's not L.A. and San Francisco as we know them today.
Yeah.
And this is Northern California anyway. This is Sacramento. North of Sacramento. So this is wild country. There were still, large swaths of the Pacific Northwest that we did not have settled or mapped or anything. They were mapped, but, not to the extent they are today.
Yeah.
So the idea that maybe there were some people living up in them thar hills, white, native, whatever, but, up there who were wearing big fur garments and whatnot to disguise themselves or to keep warm, would not be shocked. And that's actually what several people suggested. One Native American by the name of Jorg Totsky, he said that they were the Sayatik tribe, who he said came from the Olympic Range and Vancouver Island, and that they had gone extinct some 50 years prior, so far as anybody knew, but maybe these were just like a surviving group, and that these guys were 7 to 9 feet tall, that they were covered in hair, that they were talented ventriloquists and hypnotists, and all that. And then you also have a woman from, was it Squim?
That sounds right.
I think it was Squim, and which I learned through the comments is not pronounced Sequim, even though it's spelled Sequim. There was one guy who gave us a whole list of Washingtonian names that I was like, you've got to be kidding me, dude. There's no way those are pronounced the way you're saying.
Yeah.
There would be a word that did not have a B in it, but had a B in the pronunciation. And like, it wouldn't even be like something that had like a P that was pronounced, or a V, like where you could be like, okay, maybe it came from another language. No B, no sound, no phoneme that should be B, but there's a B sound.
Who named the places in this country?
I don't know, but we can't say much because we live next to the Schuylkill River, which is spelled Schuyllkill, and we do not pronounce the first L.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where it's like you don't.
Or the Y.
I said the word Schuylkill so many times before I ever saw it written anywhere.
You didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I still don't know how to spell it because I just say it.
Yeah. It's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there. And it's gross.
Yeah, don't go.
Although I will say it, compared to the Hudson, that's drinkable. It's not that bad. I mean, I probably wouldn't drink it, but like,
I've been in it, man.
Which part?
The Schuylkill?
Up here?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Is that gross? Ooh. I mean, I know a bunch of people who tube down it during the summer. Oh, I guess they're not in the water. They're on the water. So that's it. I don't know. I just needed to hate on New York for a second.
Fair.
Yeah. Listen, we've been kind enough about Brant Lake.
I was going to say, ironically
they can have Brant Lake.
We've been nice to New York like for the past 3 hours.
Yeah.
So got to balance it out.
It's a beautiful place. It's a pity that they have such bad laws. It's so expensive to live there.
That's the worst part.
Yeah. But yeah, so the Ape Canyon incident, there's these Sayatiks and the tie-ups. It's spoken about by this woman from Squim, who I couldn't verify if she herself was Skokomish, but she talked about how there was a Skokomish woman who was abducted by the tie-ups, and that meant hairy men and or wild. I can't remember the exact translation. Her name was Marion Lambert, but as we've seen, there are plenty of Native American people who have very Anglophone names. They often have both.
Yeah.
So that was, it's hard to tell specifically. Is that a story directly from a Native, or is that somebody who heard a story from a Native? Either way, it matched really well, because what she says is this woman who went missing, and she said that you could verify this through the Squim archives, but she said the Skokomish woman was kidnapped by the Tie-Alps, that she was taken to their lands in the interior as a wife, and that she had children with these people, or I think had a child with one of these creatures, but that they're not actually creatures. They are tall, but they're human. And what they do is they wear these fur suits to disguise themselves while hunting, and possibly for warfare as well. And that these give them the appearance of being ape men. All right. Both of those are reasonable.
Logical, yeah.
And this is who Hank was referencing when he just kept repeating the mountain devils. I know. We get to the next incident. There's a few scattered reports of prints and everything. The next time anything shows up in the paper, it is in Death Valley, and it's giant footprints. I think 22 inches long, 8 inches wide, something like that. And it said that they were found in gypsum and inside of caves. And they also found a ritual chamber and a burial chamber. In the burial chamber, there were 9-foot tall mummies that they dated to 80,000 years old. And then in the ritual chamber, there were symbols like those used by the Masons and hieroglyphics known to be similar, or hieroglyphics similar to those known to have been used by the Atlanteans.
Right.
This was a time period in history when Atlantis was a much more firm concept than it is today. Back then, we hadn't yet deciphered Mayan. And there were people who thought that, I can't remember, I think it's like the Florentine Codex or something like that, told the story of the destruction of Mu or Atlantis or something along those lines. Obviously, you can't... That's what I assume they meant.
Yeah.
When they said runes like those, or symbols known to like those of the Atlanteans. Which would imply... I mean, if that's true, if that's real, there is a theory that the Aztecs, who were not Mayan, but you could make that mistake if you were not a real archaeologist, and none of these people were. They were amateur archaeologists, which, don't get me wrong, amateur archaeologists can absolutely make discoveries, but they're also more likely to make mistakes such as perceiving Aztec as Mayan, or perceiving anything as that which was known to be used in Atlantis. They report this, it hits the papers, it's massive news, it's in Death Valley, and their anthropologists and archaeologists say, hey, I want to come see that. And Hank Hill is like, oh, well, we're having Dr. Viola Pettit look at it. She was at Petra. I looked into it. There was no Viola Pettit at Petra.
Yeah.
Not that I could tell. In fact, the only thing I could find about Viola Pettit was that she wrote it was attributed to have written a rather esoteric book about like theosophy and like...
I found her too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a picture in there and everything.
Yeah, she it was like, you know, this one other woman who actually published the book and claims that Viola Pettit was involved. Talks about how Viola in her sleep would communicate her dreams and that these dreams had revelations. Yeah, it was weird. Anyway, no evidence that this woman had any archaeological experience, expertise, degrees. She wrote her, if she did exist at all, which, by the way, the only thing that I can find is these newspaper articles and this book.
Yeah. Those
are the only two things I could find about a Viola Pettit. I think I might have found a grave, but I wasn't sure if it was the correct person. Either way, even if she was a real person, she's said to have gotten her PhD on secret religions, or wrote her PhD dissertation on secret religions, which can mean anything from studying the ancient mystery cults like Mithras to theosophy, which...
Can you explain a little bit more in depth about what theosophy is? Because, like, I'm curious.
I'm probably going to do a video on it at some point. Because it's another kind of esotericism, but it's basically the idea that knowledge is passed down to masters by the ascended masters who have access to the emerald tablets and whatnot. It's a lot of the stuff we covered in the Tartaria and Chan Thomas videos.
Got it. Okay.
So the Tartaria crustal displacement theory, theosophy are all kind of
So it's essentially sounding like a multi-generational, like, casual cult, in a sense.
Okay, let me put it this way. You know how in the book of Exodus, Moses says he was spoken to by a burning bush?
Yes.
That's, it was revealed to me by the bush.
Mm-hmm.
Theosophy is literally, it was revealed to me in a dream. Like the meme about the source being, it was revealed.
Yeah.
Literally that. Have you ever seen Spirit Science here on YouTube? We've done some reaction content to his video over on my personal channel, the Aiden Mattis. That's what we're talking about here. This is the guy who talked about space Hebrews and how the Martians came to Atlantis. Oh yeah, it's a whole thing.
Oh, we gotta cover that at some point.
It's
What?
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where you're sitting there and you're like, huh? And he talks about it with so much authority.
Yeah.
Like, this happened, and you're like, where's your source? And he goes, I made it the fuck up. the Egyptian god Thoth told me as he read from the emerald tablets that you can't see.
Yes.
Like, okay, guys. But yeah, so that's all I could find about Viola Pettit, who was not at Petra, from what I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
No attribution, nothing on JSTOR. Nothing there at all. And then he says that the guy who funded all of this was a guy named Bertrand Russell, who at the time would have been a rather up-and-coming philosopher.
Yeah.
So we have two esoteric, not necessarily esoteric, I don't know much about Bertrand Russell's work, but we've got two people involved in theology and philosophy. We've got Atlantis, and we've got absolutely no physical evidence of anything because, according to every source I can find, Bertrand Russell, this F. Bertrand Russell guy who was supposedly a physician from Cincinnati, went off into the desert to find his stuff and never returned, and his car was found on the side of the road. I found no actual documentation for this. Sounds to me like Hank Hill was trying to cash in on the Atlantis thing, and maybe got his money's worth out of it, or realized he was in over his head. I don't know for sure.
I don't know what you're implying. This sounds like a bedrock solid foundation for an idea.
But yeah, look for the cave of mummies in Death Valley is not exactly a feasible instruction.
Well, that does sound vaguely related to something else that we've covered.
The M Cave?
No. Well, in terms of him disappearing, yes, but not necessarily the mummies in Death Valley, but maybe, in the general vicinity, maybe a little bit more south and to the east. Some extra large bodies being found in caves.
You're going to have to jog my memory on this one.
Lovelock.
Oh, that's northeast. That's why I was confused.
Got it.
Yeah, Death Valley's southeastern California.
Yeah, I thought Lovelock was in New Mexico. Or
Lovelock is northern Nevada.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I will say that is along the Humboldt River, which does lead into Humboldt County in California. There are things to be addressed. Trust me, this is all going to get tied together.
Yeah.
That said, the CTK are never referenced as being giants.
Fair.
There's one person says they're tall, which in my opinion, a good example of this is if you look at the Patagonia, the Patagonian giants.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's a Portuguese guy who first writes about them, and he's like, they're 15 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a Dutch guy who's like, they're 10 to 12 feet tall. And there's an English guy who's like, they're a little tall, like 6.5, 7 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So the first guy to see them is like, oh my God, they're huge.
Yeah.
Because nobody can question him. And then the second guy is like, well, I definitely want to sound cool, but I also want to sound like he was exaggerating.
Yeah.
So he exaggerates less. Then the English guy comes along and he's like, yeah, these are some tall dudes. This is weird. You guys are like Dutch people. So we'll also be covering the Patagonia giant story. Don't worry, I'll get that involved.
Writing that down.
Well, it's probably going to go into the Bigfoot stuff.
Still.
But yeah, so that's my point is like the Lovelock thing could very easily be that, where people who were slightly above average height ended up being discussed as being massive. But yeah, so there's not much going on the Death Valley thing. But in 1958, we get the real famous incident, which is Bluff Creek. And that is up in Northern California, Humboldt County. It's on the kind of like in the Trinity area as well. But it's just up near, I want to say it was Klamath National Forest and Klamath and Trinity National Forests, I think, is kind of the general area.
Sounds right.
And what they find, a guy named Jerry Crew comes forward and says that for the last 6 weeks, they have been encountering these giant tracks, and that they are, 14 to 16 inches long and can't have been, 5-foot strides, 10-foot running strides. They're 3 inches deep into the dirt. They've really been pressed in. And reporters go out there and they measure it, and they're like, yeah, these are in fact 3-inch footprints in the dirt. And they take casts, and they words are not coming to me right now. They take plaster casts of it. It's in all the papers. Everybody's talking about, the Indian legends as well, and how there's talk of Indian devils and mountain devils and creek devils and all this. And it's kind of another thing where some people say it was a hoax. They accuse a guy named Ray Wallace, who was the owner of Wallace Logging Company, which was, the company that was at Bluff Creek and doing the logging, and their employees are the people who said they found the prints. And Ray is like, guys, I lost 15 employees off of this job because of these prints. I'm losing money. I'm hurting my own business. Or it's hurting my business. Why would I do this? And refuses to say he did it. He's like, I didn't do this.
Yeah.
I didn't do this. So it kind of fizzles out, and there's the people who think the tracks are real, and there's the people who think the tracks aren't real. 9 years later, because I guess I should backtrack a little bit. That's 1958. 1959, a guy named Ivan T. Sanderson releases a book called something along the lines of America's Abominable Snowman. And then that catches the attention of a guy named Roger Patterson. Roger Patterson is a rodeo rider up in Toledo, Washington. And he decides he wants to go find Bigfoot. 1962, he really starts to get into it. 1966, he records, he writes a book of his own called Do Abominable Snowmen of America Really Exist? Which is why I called him a clickbait pioneer. And it does well enough. He founds it was like Northwestern Wilderness Research Foundation or something along those lines. And between the money he made off of the book, donations to the foundation, and some money from his brother-in-law, Al Diatley, who's up in also, I think, Tahoe or Yakima. These guys were Yakima. It was Ray Wallace was Toledo. So Yakima is Roger Patterson and Al Diatley and Bob Gimlin, those guys. So Patterson decides, with the money he now has, he's going to make a movie about Bigfoot. And it's going to be told in line with the Fred Beck story, which I believe came out in 1962. So it's going to be an old miner accompanying some cowboys who's going to tell them. And there's also going to be a Native American guide. And these two are going to tell Patterson's character, the cowboy, about their experiences and their stories, and they're going to tell it through flashbacks of the Ape Canyon incident and other groups or other incidents. I also love that it's called the Battle of Ape Canyon. And while they're out there on October 20th, apparently there was some filming that happened in May, and then they were doing maybe some secondary photography in October. They're down there and they're just filming in an area where Ray Wallace had said, hey, if you go here, that's where you're most likely to find the Squatch. Now, of course, in 2002, Ray Wallace's kids came forward and said that the whole thing had been a hoax and their dad was just a prankster and produced some feet of wood. And they said that their dad and, I think his brother and one of his employees were going around tramping, as a joke to prevent theft or something like that. Ray himself never fessed up, at least not publicly. There is one person, a Daniel Pilchis, who claims that I believe claims Ray fessed up to it in like 1982 to him privately.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's hard to say for sure in either direction, but gist of it is there's a claim with some evidence from Ray Wallace's kids that he had hoaxed that whole thing. But so Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin, they're up in Bluff Creek in around the same area that these tracks first appeared back in the 1950s. And as they're filming, they capture some footage. And this becomes the famous Patterson-Gimlin tape. And there were a lot of things involved in the tape. I find it a little suspicious that they went out looking for Bigfoot and found him in the exact place they were told they would find him. By a guy who allegedly faked the whole thing.
Yep.
But that's obviously not enough alone. So in the tape, it's 16 millimeter film. I believe it's 18 frames per second, the original. They're just kind of walking along when you see like somebody points at something and it just gets, you know, suddenly camera pans down. And what you get is, I had the original one here somewhere. Yeah, here's the unedited version. I don't know why this window is being so slow right now. Maybe it's probably over here. I bet that's why. It is. I was right. It's that screen. I think. We'll see. You got the chat up. I don't need this up.
Yeah.
Save ourselves some RAM.
We love a bit of good RAM.
We love a bit of good RAM. So I'm gonna switch it over, and I might have to fix the microphone. We'll see. Is the micro?
No way.
It worked.
Finally.
Yeah, so we'll make this full screen over here for you. So this is the portion of the tape. Do you mind popping this down just a little so I can see? But this is the portion. It's longer. It's about 3 minutes long. But most of this is just B-roll. They're catching some images of guys on, see, that's a guy on horseback. Now, what you might notice is that obviously you blow this up to 1080 and it's going to be a little blurry. Really, even if we make it smaller, it's not much better. There's just too many pixels that have to be invented here. You could drop it down to 144 and be a hell of a lot closer to the original footage. But apparently if you do that, YouTube will
I would say I know the...
Yeah, no, it's not better in lower quality either.
I know try and do 1080. I know the...
back up 1080.
I know it's technically 1080, and I don't know how many copies this went through, but like for 16 millimeter, this is horrible quality.
Yeah.
Like 16 millimeter back in the day was used to shoot a lot of like news and documentary footage and even some like short films. I think Christopher Nolan shot a couple of his first films on 16, and like that is brutal.
Yeah, 16. Well, so here's the thing. Everything is at the very least a copy of a copy.
Yeah. This
might be a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy.
Yeah.
It's also been digitized. It's probably been shared around a few times, but you know, the point of the matter is this is the general film you get. And I looked up original. If you want to see if you can find a better link, maybe.
I in my search I haven't found anything, but
yeah. So here's the important part. This is the boom. This is where somebody says, "Look there." It's just in case there is audio that they can hear but we can't. Yeah. So this right here. That's the unedited version that you can find on YouTube. Obviously not super high quality. Now, if I look up original Patterson-Gimlin film, the problem is you can't really find anything that's not stabilized. Essentially everything is a copy of a copy, and maybe this one's higher quality because it's from Oregon Public Broadcasting, but no, see, even that still sucks.
It's a little better.
It's a little better. So let's see where the... Yeah, here we go. Wait, no. Yeah, so it's just... It's been reproduced so many times that the original version is incredibly low quality. There's not much at all that you can see. And they're circling stuff, and like honestly, I don't see the stuff they're circling.
Well, I think they're going for like the zipper bit and stuff like that.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, you go through. There's really nothing on YouTube that I've been able to find that isn't in some way altered. So if somebody has a digitized copy that has gone through as few copies as possible, awesome, send it to us and we'll take a look. But I was able to find these guys. And here's what we get when you look at the HD version. So this is, I mean, it's got to be at a certain point AI enhanced. Yeah, this one's AI enhanced. Let's look at it. I don't know if this is the specific AI enhanced one people wanted me to look at, but they go over it several times. There's 50 FPS, still shaky. And when I look at this, I simply do not see muscle movement. You would also expect that in the region of the bazongas, there would be some jiggle, and yet we see none. Even when you slow it down to 25 FPS, I don't see anything.
Well, most of the movement is coming from the smoothing of the AI.
And that's the thing is, I'll have you explain it in a second how this works, the whole AI thing, when it comes to restoring video. But here it is in 60. I still don't see muscle movement.
Yeah.
And I watched this one over and over and over and over again. And just to me, you don't see any discernible muscle movement beneath the skin. Everything seems so static. And this is in HD. This is as high quality as you can get this video online. I mean, at least as far as I've been able to find. Let's see this one. Don't need all that. Just need the footage itself. Here's the original footage they're talking about. Let's pull it up. So once again, even this guy with his original footage, it's still the low quality, grainy, all that. Let's see when the AI enhanced comes in. Maybe this is slowed down and zoomed in, so maybe this will be better, easier to see. A little bit higher quality. But I think really you gotta look right here. The lower back, you would expect movement of the muscles.
Yeah.
I would also wonder why it's quite so like that. The body proportions I don't love.
Well, do you want to compare it to something?
Here, let's see if we can get how much quality does it get. This is in 720. Only gets up to 720.
So the closest visual comparison I can think of is to a gorilla. If we want to pull up a video of a gorilla by comparison to see how much motion.
So let's see, here we go.
So yeah, there you're already seeing a lot of muscle movement on the muscles of the cranium.
Mm-hmm. And see, there's a lot of movement here. That is muscle movement beneath the skin.
Yeah.
But also, you look at how a gorilla walks, it's completely different from how that thing was walking.
Yeah. But by visual means, it's probably the closest in comparison. So, yeah, I think that's pretty blatant, the differentiation there.
Microsoft Edge running in the background. I'm like, why is everything running so slowly? And Microsoft Edge is in the background. So Also, Google Chrome has like 23 tabs open somewhere, and I have no idea where any of them are. It really is incredible how much nonsense is running on your computer at any given time.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But yeah, so that's kind of my issue with this stuff. No matter how I look at it, whether it's the AI enhanced, whether it's the upscale to 4K, I just do not see movement. And the other thing is, like, and again, I want you to explain this to the best of your ability, but like, I don't see discernible muscle movement there. So let's.
And it's also even just the natural movement and response to the scenario.
Yeah.
The idea of it looking directly at them without any form of
without anything.
Well, that's the thing, is like, whether it's a predatory animal or a prey animal, they would generally have some form of reaction.
YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming.
I mean, but it is.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Nonetheless, I mean, just the lack of reaction one way or another, whether it's predatory, like, is this potential food, or prey response of moment of fear and then, like, bolting. It's weird that there was a lack of, like, anything. But, if we want to go into the video aspect of it, so for those who aren't familiar with it, the way AI works in terms of kind of smoothing out and bumping up the quality of a video like that. So if it's shot at 18 frames per second, to bring it up to 100 frames per second, what the AI generation is doing is that for all of the frames between those 18 original frames, the AI algorithm is essentially creating those frames based off of what it thinks should happen between two of any given of those 18 frames. So it's developing 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, depending on how many, the output frame total count is.
I mean, yeah, if you're looking at upscaling an 18 frame per second video to 100 frames per second, it's adding
like almost over 5 times.
That's majority AI pixels.
Yeah. So you're essentially asking a machine to fill in the gaps where it's like, oh, based on what you're looking at, what makes sense to happen here? So it's not, whatever movement that may generate, it's not really there. It's just a machine assuming what should be there based off of all the other video footage that it has scanned prior. Similarly, upscaling. So what upscaling does is, if you have, let's say, a 720 image or a 720 video, if you want to upscale that to 4K, AI then goes through and does the same thing, but instead of with individual frames creation, it's doing it with individual pixels in already existing frames. So it may look at a selection of pixels that are all relatively similar, or, essentially 1 pixel in the smaller scale format. And then when it's blowing that up and it's proportionally matching that, it then adjusts all of the pixels that original pixel would essentially be encompassing in that new format. And then based on what it understands from the rest of the image, it creates what it thinks should be there.
So if you present it with a video of a great ape or something like it walking, it's going to assume, depending on the type of AI you're using, because there's very basic AI that's just going to try and, match frame to frame what's in the space between. Now, of course, we've got considerably, like, at this point with Sora AI out there, there's no proving Bigfoot exists ever, unless you do it on film, on physical film. It's the only possible way.
And the only way you can do that is, even then, like, you would have to essentially capture it on analog film, develop it, and then show it on the original print from the original negative. And even then you would have to prove that whatever you were doing was not somebody in a suit in camera.
It's just, I mean, that's the problem, is at this point, you've got to find DNA. But the problem with finding Bigfoot DNA, in my opinion, is that it's probably going to be human DNA. I mean, you might be able to find genetic markers that show that it's different from you and me, but it's probably, I don't think it's gonna, everybody's been looking for great ape DNA, and I think they're looking in the wrong place. I think you should be looking for humans. Now, of course, another thing to bring up is that Patty looks precisely like a drawing of what a Bigfoot would look like from Patterson's book. So he basically spotted the exact kind of Bigfoot he drew. Keep in mind, he'd never seen one before. So
Yeah.
it was just based off of descriptions he'd come up with, and we've been seeing this a lot with dinosaurs lately. There's kind of been the general assumption that dinosaurs had scales, and they're believing more and more that they probably had feathers.
Yep. The video.
Also, they put together so many dinosaur skeletons that turned out to not be right at all early on. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that makes so sense.
Where they were like, there have been like entire species of dinosaur that they've come out and been like,
that was actually a couple other ones.
Probably messed up on that. Like,
I think the best thing to come out of the dinosaur community in the last several years was the what they actually assumed the T-Rex sounded like. You've heard that, right? And it's just like all of the comments that are like, why don't we have a like Jurassic Park style but like horror film yet? It's a great point.
Yeah, it's so, you know, with the film footage, a lot of people were pointing out the whole, you know, well, have you seen the AI enhanced version? I'm like, AI enhanced is inherently less trustworthy than original. So
it's about as trustworthy as saying, hey, did you see the one where the guy like inserted a cartoon for a few frames in between each of the original frames? Like,
you know, I struggle to accept it. And, you know, when I look at the closest thing possible, even with the AI, it doesn't look to me like there's muscle movement. And what drives me insane is all of these anecdotal comments that say, oh, well, nobody could make a suit like that back then. Part of me is like, we should see if we can find a costume designer to make a suit.
Well, but here's this is the biggest confusion I have with that argument. Both of the examples we provided in the video, which was from 2001: A Space Odyssey and Planet of the Apes movies, are just as good, just in different ways. Like, in my opinion, those suits are better than what is apparently on this video.
I said so. I think the Planet of the Apes costume is considerably better.
Yeah.
It looks far more realistic.
Yeah.
And I don't, and the other thing that bugs me is, what is the deal with this insistence that it's walking in a way a human can't?
I don't understand that in the slightest.
Like, at one point I heard, you know, oh, well, a human in a suit couldn't turn like that. And it's like, it depends on the suit.
Have you seen Chewbacca?
Yeah. Have you seen football players?
Yeah.
Who are wearing essentially the same thing that is claimed to be in the suit?
No. Have you watched The Grinch with Jim Carrey? Like, you know, he had to be trained by people who train Navy SEALs how to endure torture in order to get into that makeup for 8 hours a day. But he was able to make that stuff move a lot.
Yeah.
You know, just to assume, you know, in the same world, granted that's a few decades later, but even still, to say that you can't walk and turn?
Yeah, it's...
I don't buy it.
And to be clear, this is not us being like, Bigfoot can't possibly be real. This is us being like, I don't think this film is, you know, quite as... Can you think of anything shot on 16 millimeter that we could pull up to show people what it should look like?
Oh, God, was... I think... Was Memento in 16 millimeter?
All right, here we go. So here's a guy who posted one.
No, it was 35.
So here's 16 millimeter. This is the kind of quality we should be talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of documentaries and stuff back then that shot on 16. But, like, you can already tell the vast improvement in quality.
I mean, it's not high def, but
it's certainly not... I mean, you can tell everything that you're seeing.
Exactly. It's just, you know, so I just... when I look at this, yeah, it looks very 70s in terms of the camera quality, but it's clearly passable. It looks better.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that the very first people to view this film would have been looking at something more like this, where you can read street signs.
Yeah.
Maybe they could, in fact, see muscle movement. But the problem is, nobody today can corroborate that they actually did.
Yeah, no.
Another issue I had with it was that they took it to people at Disney and Universal and said, hey, what do you guys think? And it's been pitched around, you know, oh, well, they took it to, you know, to people at Disney and Universal who said that they couldn't recreate it. But I looked into who they took it to. One guy had no special effects credits, had like one TV show's, a short-lived TV show, I think it was a news station, of directorial credits.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, it was screened to Dale Sheets and unnamed technicians at Universal. I'm sorry, unnamed technicians might as well be anonymous sources. As far as I'm concerned, you made that up. In fact, I'm pretty positive you did. You know, Dale Sheets is not the kind of guy that you should care about his opinion here. Ken Peterson over at Disney was in charge of their animation department, so, you know, some special effects involvement. He was more on the management and executive side.
Yeah.
But, you know, he said none of our guys could recreate this. This would, and, you know, well, at least one version of events says he said none of our guys could recreate this. A more conservative version of what he said is that, you know, our guys could do this, but it would take a lot of money and it would have to be done in the studio. The latter one sounds more likely, considering it's Disney.
Yeah.
Even in the 1970s, in the 1960s, Disney had money.
Yeah.
And was doing really cool stuff.
Granted, from what I recall, they weren't doing a ton of live action
Not
stuff.
yet, no. But that's exactly the thing. He was working with animators. He was entirely in the animation side. I think they had done Mary Poppins. But Mary Poppins was not costumes. It was cartoon on top of the film.
Yeah, I mean, they had like the human characters had costumes, but it wasn't any like creature costume kind of deal.
Yeah, so it's, you know, I'm just not I'm not convinced by that. Now, if you told me that they took the original footage 10 years later to a little company called ILM, and they said we can't do that.
Yeah.
Now I'm more interested.
Or forget taking it to Stan Winston and telling you he couldn't do it, because Stan Winston was the guy. They did Terminator, they did Jurassic Park, like, you know, the animatronics and suits that they were able to produce in a variety of things is just
if I remember correctly, one of the guys on Jurassic Park, it might have been Winston, said, like, if one of my guys made this, I'd fire him. Something along those lines.
This was that bad, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, it's not good. And so, that's the thing. You take it to guys who worked on things like Jurassic Park and said, that's a hoax.
Yeah.
I could do that in my basement in my sleep.
Yeah.
They took it, Bill Munn, who said he does believe the video is real and is a special effects guy, even said taking it to Disney and Universal was stupid. You should have taken it to Fox or MGM, especially since MGM had Planet of the Apes. MGM did 2001: A Space Odyssey in 1968.
Yeah. Well, and also talking about things in the 70s, Jaws was 1975. They produced it in 1974. Granted, it's a very different style thing, but they had an animatronics 25-foot shark navigating around 10 miles off the coast of, Martha's Vineyard in 30 feet of water that was on a crane that was articulating. Granted, it broke down a lot because of the salt water. And looking back at it now, it doesn't look exactly like a great white shark today, but like there were a lot of impressive feats that were being done at that time in terms of costume design and special effects making.
I also think it's very funny to sit here and listen to them be like, nobody could possibly make that suit. We went to the moon 2 years later. The moon. Keep in mind.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there who claim we had the technology to fake the moon landing in 1969. You're telling me we can't fake a Bigfoot suit in 1967?
Yeah.
Also, there's a now, granted, he's never produced evidence either, but Philip Morris, who was a costume designer in LA in the 60s, said that he made the suit.
Yeah.
Now, he never produced any evidence that he made the suit when there should, and I mentioned this in the video, there should have been drawings, there should have been invoices. He said it was a suit that he regularly sold. It was a gorilla suit. There should have been examples of that. So I don't necessarily buy that that's true at all.
I did see that there was like this suit that maybe he made as like a replica of it, but like, you know, that seems pretty on the mark.
Yeah.
No way to know if he had that at the time.
That's what I mean. It's like, that's the thing is, if Philip Morris can come forward and say, here's this order, this mail-in, or he said it was mail-in. If he came forward and said, here's the mail order, it's right here. It has Roger Patterson's signature on it. It is an order for a Bigfoot suit or a gorilla suit or something. If he came forward and popped that down on the table, it would be over and done with, settled. This is not Bigfoot.
Yep.
So that part I found interesting. Another thing was that the feet were flat. The feet on the film are flat.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it right there. Also, if you look at the comparison with Beneath the Planet of the Apes, that I think we have in the video, but I mean, the argument that a human being can't turn that way is hilarious because there's a guy in a gorilla suit who turns that way in the diagram. So yeah, just when I look at the film, I'm just not remotely convinced.
No.
And that's not me saying that Bigfoot can't possibly be real. That's me saying what many other Bigfoot researchers have said in the past, which is, I think Bigfoot's real or could be real, but that's a hoax. And in my opinion, if it was, there are two probable reasons. Either it was Patterson's idea and he thought, well, if we present the footage, then maybe we can get people to fund an actual expedition to go find the thing.
Yeah.
If we give them, proof that it's real, maybe we can go get actual proof that it's real.
Which would not be the first time in history that somebody's done that.
No, not at all. The other possibility is that Al Diatley, who was basically funding all of this, organized all of it. And that Patterson and Gimlin had no idea. That Diatley would have known they were going to be there that day. Might not have known that they would have considered shooting the thing, but maybe he paid somebody to put on that suit and walk in front of the camera when he saw them come. But also the other thing I want to point out is the flat feet really don't sit right with me. Something that is bipedal and humanoid should not have flat feet. It just shouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't think even gorillas have flat feet, but I'm not positive. Yeah, look it up. Okay, so chimps and gorillas have flexible but flat feet, whereas humans have stiff arched feet. But gorillas also walk much differently from what we saw there. Chimpanzees too. They use their arms.
Yeah.
So, I think I in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons I would argue that's probably not real is that Bigfoot looks to be a hominid based on the video and based on all of the descriptions of it. I don't think any hominids have flat feet. I mean, I'm not sure we could even say for sure, but you can look it up. Did any hominids have flat feet? But yeah, you would expect that it would be. Yeah, it's as far back as 3.18 million years ago, we didn't have flat feet. There's no way Bigfoot has flat feet. And I think part of the reason that they went with the flat feet is that A, great apes have flat feet, and B, all of the prints suggested flat feet. But the thing is, the prints were all kind of identical at Bluff Creek.
Yeah. Also, see, if you're in the suit, probably still have shoes on in there.
Or you made boots out of it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the only way to know for sure if that film is a hoax is for someone directly involved with it to come out and say it was a hoax. And by that, I mean, really only Gimlin is left to say so. Gimlin seems pretty convinced he saw Bigfoot that day. So I don't think Bigfoot was in on a hoax if there was a hoax. At the end of the day, when you look at a video like that and the versions it's available in, I think you see what you want to see. The fact that so many people are so clear that they see muscle movement beneath the suit. Meanwhile, I look at it and I don't see muscle movement beneath that suit. And I had going into this, I was like, I don't care if it's real or not. I have no skin in this. If it's real, cool. If it's not real, all right, whatever.
Yeah, the only movement I see is from the moving of the, I'm going to call it a suit. You see different levels of reflection of light from the fur that's on it. Yeah. So that gives the appearance of certain movements that aren't exactly correlating with the overall body movement, but that doesn't appear to me as muscle movement. Also,
I will say this, the Sheboygas, far too hairy.
Yeah.
I may have had to look up some gorilla titties. And chimp ones.
This is the kind of ground level research that puts us above everyone else. This is why everyone's here. this is what everyone respects.
Oh, my neck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I need to see a chiropractor.
But yeah, he's willing to do the work that no one else is.
Yeah. So I just think, I mean, based on the native descriptions that describe them as, I mean, I'll grant it. The Jorg Totsky one said, hairy like a bear, which is a lot closer to what we see there. But if you go up north to, Canada, they don't say they were hairy like bears. They say they're hairy people.
Yeah.
Different. And if you're native, really anything with body hair is hairy compared to you.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not like some sort of dig. Just genetically, like Native Americans are not as hairy as white people.
Somebody said digital footprint.
Yes, I said gorilla titties. You can do with that information what you will. But either way, I wanted to go sort of into more detail about where I am on the Patterson-Gimlin film and why. We'll do a whole video on the tape because it seems necessary. Aiden can give his film side of things. I can see if I can dig up any more information on it, look at the lore of where the video came from.
Yep.
And if anybody has access to a digital copy of the film itself, which is not in 240p, please give us access to it and we'll review that instead.
Yeah.
It's just that the AI enhanced ones aren't going to do it.
Yeah. It's not trustworthy.
I mean, when you watch, I think people, this is the problem, is they'll watch like NCIS or something like that, and you'll have the grainy security camera footage, and they'll be like, can you enhance that? And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. And it turns into a 4K high def image where you can, see the pimples on the guy's arm.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's not how that works.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that to an extent.
How the Force works.
Yeah. But like, you can't use that in like the court of law to convict someone.
It doesn't even work like that. Like they don't have software that they might now.
Yeah.
And even then, it would be an investigative tool, not a admissible tool.
Exactly.
But yeah, like you look at it, it's anytime you AI enhance something, you are adding pixels, which means that you are taking away from the fidelity of the image. You are inherently making it less authentic.
Yes.
So it's not an acceptable form of evidence. That's the way we look at things. That said, I'm still going to look further through it. I'm going to look and see it. When we do the Patterson-Gimlin one, maybe we're like, all right, what about other sightings of Bigfoot on film? Like, there must be some, right? And there's a bunch, and most of them are garbage.
I look forward to seeing them.
There's also, it's crazy how many people are adamant one way or the other that like, oh, there was DNA evidence that absolutely proved Bigfoot's real. And then the same evidence will be used by other people to be like, no, that proved there was nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys. But that said, it is 8:07 p.m. and you know what that means?
It is question time.
Yes.
So we're going to get started with local legends Burton Morin for $2.
Oh, yeah.
Starting the show off earlier on saying, hey, guys, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
He did the video on Brandon Swanson that we shouted out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Equus Hart for $2 says, love all your videos, just saying.
Well, thank you
very much. Ryan Wickup back at it again for $5.32. Love the specificity.
So specific.
I think he walked too much like a human, and I think the arms would be longer. It's a dude in a suit. Also, it reacted like it was not a wild animal. Yeah, kind of a good summation of everything we've said.
I will push back on the wild animal issue because I don't think there's that many people who have said Bigfoot is a wild animal.
Fair.
Most seems to be that Bigfoot is at some level intelligent.
Mm-hmm. Fair. Killing the official data for $4.99, saying the Pat, I assume Gimli, the Pat Gimli footage is of too low of resolution, 16 millimeter, to get a good read. I still believe if high intel, they could be actively hiding in the Pacific Northwest heavy woods. It's definitely possible.
Also,
thank you.
Just to be straightforward about it, that's where I'm at right now. Is if Bigfoot's real, it is a community of either primitive humans or divergent hominids that are living out in the woods, and probably in extremely low numbers at this point.
Yeah. Totally Not Yama for $220. Thank you very much. Says, a while back, you guys mentioned you wanted this channel to be a place where smaller creators could post their content. You said the revenue would be shared if that happened. Is that still the case? I would say from what we're doing now, it's less on this channel. It's more, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's more that we're branching out other channels just by the nature of the way YouTube likes to promote content. We'd love to continue to help other people grow, but it's just kind of a nature of a conversation between, us and whoever wants to do content with us potentially of like, what's going to be the best strategy? Is there a way that we could help you get your channel started up and running, and kind of like if that's more logical, or if it falls into the fold of what we do, finding a way to structure that for everybody's benefit. I guess
we're currently working with a couple of people we know to test the waters on it. And if that goes well, then we'll look into doing more of it. That might mean throwing some money behind advertising, helping people get set up with the right equipment, doing kind of like co-hosting their show with them for a few months. There's a few different ideas in the ballpark, and so we'll as we figure that out, we'll make announcements.
To suffice to say, it's like we still intend for that. It's just as we grow, we're finding better ways to do that, and so we're just continuously trying to improve and hopefully helping those along the way. Elena de Howler Werewolf Queen for $9.99. Thank you. Says, question for my mom, Emerald Queen. I have a werewolf costume with relatively long/thick fur. Would a video of me in said costume help you in your analysis of the Bigfoot video?
It might. It might actually. If you want to try and replicate the walk, I would be willing to. I'd take a look at it.
Yeah, why not?
Consider using it in the analysis. Yeah,
it certainly couldn't hurt.
Yeah.
Totally Yama for $10 saying, and thank you very much. I'm researching for a video on the black dog of the Hanging Hills and gathered some footage of the area. If there's any topic that comes up in Connecticut, I might be able to get some footage.
Ooh, Connecticut.
Nothing jumps to mind, but
most of the Connecticut stuff that comes to mind is more hauntings. Like the Warrens were up there. So there's a lot of stuff from the Warrens. But we can definitely consider.
Cedar for $7.77. Love the specificity. Some Washington towns to pronounce for y'all. Would you like to give those a try?
You cannot seriously tell me somebody named a town Enumclaw.
Yeah, because
this one I actually know because somebody mentioned it.
Lospo?
Apparently, it's actually like St. Paul.
No, we're done with that.
Issaquah. I actually have a friend who lived in Issaquah. It was my junior prom date, actually, if I remember correctly. We finished 9th grade. We both switched schools. I switched to the local high school. She switched to the local high school in Issaquah, Washington. So
also, there's no way that last one is not pull y'all up.
I think that's pull you up.
Hump tulip.
That one actually is pronounced hump tulip.
There's no other way to pronounce it.
Squim was one that I was corrected on.
I would have said sequim.
Yeah, that one is in fact Stelicum.
Stelicum.
Yeah, to be clear, the one that I was told is St. Paul is Poulsbo, because apparently there was a transcription error of some coin. Some coins. All right. Got a license for that accent?
You got a permit for speaking?
Oh, don't tell history daddy will make him fun of his people. You might get in a right spot of trouble.
It's okay. You can't speak up. We don't have a permit to be angry. Oh, we love you, Ryan. Anyway.
I'd say long live the king, but under the current circumstances, that seems like a pipe dream.
Yeah. That's almost like a slanderous comment. That's seditious, even.
Get myself banned from England before I ever go.
Yeah, seditious sarcasm. Alfarius Omegon for $20 says, the proper term is Sasquissy, not big pussy. Also, it is incredibly dangerous to mate with a Sasquatch. Whilst in heat, the females become very aggressive and will take what they want from any humanoid male. Ask me how I know.
I don't think I will.
I don't think I have to.
You know that scene from the end of, what was it Endgame? Infinity War? It was Endgame, I think. Where he's like, tell me what happened? And he's like, I don't think I will. That's me right now.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. That's right. I have seen Marvel movies.
And I haven't seen any since.
Yeah, I watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That was solid. Loki was way too much was going on in Loki.
Fair.
I've heard nothing good about any Marvel movie since Endgame though.
The only thing I've seen since Endgame was what was the Spider-Man one with all three of them?
I did see that one. No Way Home.
Yeah,
that was good. But you know why it was good?
Why?
Because Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were in it.
Yeah, I'm just glad Andrew got his redemption. For that.
And like that was actually one of the better. That was a solidly written one because like the fact that his Spider-Man was able to actually. Is it a spoiler alert? Do I need to do a spoiler alert for this point?
The movie's been out so
it's
long,
been out
but
a while.
just in
Anyway,
case.
spoiler alert. The fact that Andrew's Spider-Man got to save MJ.
Yeah.
You know, because he couldn't save Gwen.
Yeah.
I was
Huge.
like, okay, that was big. And the fact they had him like start like breaking down over it. Like I was like, okay, you know what? It also reminded me how much better the Sony and were they both Sony? Yeah, how much better the Sony Spider-Man movies were. Like, don't get me wrong, I think that Spider-Man has been Disney's best Marvel like superhero series.
Well, it's still technically
individual.
It's still technically Sony.
Yeah, but doesn't Marvel, because it's Avengers, have like creative, or doesn't Disney have creative control?
They have a deal where essentially they can use Spider-Man, but they can't use anything else that is related to Spider-Man.
Maybe that's why Spider-Man's been the only good one so far. But yeah, anyway, continuing on.
Anyway, Dimitri Miner for $5 says, gotta make an I'll probably make a video about it someday counter.
Yeah.
Somebody do it. And I want to find out what that is by the end of the year.
And then clip every time I say it.
Yes. Jensen XXP for £4.99. Thank you, saying, won't be able to stick around tonight. Keep up the good work, boys. XX.
Well, now I'm sorry for making fun of the British.
We will do our
but
best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Play with Fire 24 for $10, saying, question. When starting this channel, did you ever think you would eventually talk about a group of guys arguing over the hair pattern on a Bigfoot bazongas? Love you guys.
To be perfectly honest, that is much closer to the stuff we talked about when the channel started than anything else we do now.
Yeah, shockingly enough. No, if you had said to me in college, hey, you know how you're studying film and journalism? You're going to end up talking about Bigfoot for a living. I would have probably been like, what went wrong?
Yeah, that would have been weird.
Well, you were studying history.
Yeah.
It's crazy the turns life takes.
Yeah.
I couldn't be more grateful. I'm loving doing this. But I would never have believed you, even up until like 3 years ago, that I would be doing this.
Mortality approaches. Dude, I'm going through it with the age thing right now.
Are you really?
Are
you having your quarter life crisis?
I turned 26 and I was like, oh no, here it comes.
Oh no. Oh boy. Yeah, and I hate you.
Yeah, it was the
Abner Lopez for $5 says, hello from Casper, Wyoming. Really enjoyed the Casper Mountain Crawler and also where the Wendussie. Well,
apparently Casper Mountain.
Yep. Based on the last conversation we had about that, then yes.
Yeah. Granted, I think that may have been a hoax that went too far. I'm not convinced about that video. Also, meth. Always a possibility.
Yep.
But yeah, I think I would love to go up to Casper, Wyoming, because there were a lot of missing persons cases. Like there were a statistically significant number of missing person cases there.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to go to Wyoming.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
I don't trust people who say they don't. Kira's Dollhouse Sweets Crochet, which is an incredible
One hell of a name.
Yeah. Member for 8 months.
Thank
you very much. Just says yay.
Yay.
Yay that you're here.
Yeah.
Ryan Howe for, I believe it's Canadian $5, saying, believe how AI enhancement works is by recreating a new image based on the data you show the AI, so there's some margin of error here. Yeah.
There's a few different ways that AI works. The new AI stuff does do sort of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it
takes your description, finds reference images, and then
it depends on what type of AI you're using.
Also, in case anybody felt there was ambiguity on it, I I am so concerned.
Oh yeah,
AI video.
yeah. It'll be interesting.
Don't like
man.
it. I saw a video that was going around Flat Earth Twitter, because I am being tortured by the algorithm right now. But Flat Earth Twitter, somebody posted a video, and it was of Donald Trump at what was, according to them, a Masonic ceremony of some kind, where he was actually leading a lot. Now, I just want to say this much: a guy like Trump does not have time to be in charge of Masonic Lodge. Just absolutely not. But they were saying, oh, he's a 33rd degree Mason, and, you know, showing a video of him in all these robes with a sash, and there's him sitting in the middle of the stage. There's then a dude to his right and a woman to his left who are dressed similarly, and there's rows of chairs out front. And of course, I'm looking at it and I'm like, whoever made this has never once even looked up a Masonic Lodge. Like,
Incredible.
the chairs are never aligned like this in like you're in an auditorium.
Like procession, yeah.
The chairs are on the sides of the room. Up front, there are 2 chairs, but they're not elevated above the worshipful master, who, by the way, is not being worshipped. He is worshipful. He is worshiping. Like, there's a whole. I looked at it and I was, you gotta be kidding me, man. Like, Sora AI drops, and 3 days later, you people are falling for by far the dumbest possible fake.
Yeah. What a shame. Also, Totally Not JMO for 556, love it, says, by the way, my name is short for Jameson, so you've been pronouncing it wrong with a weird long A. So here's the issue. I thought it was like something like, I'm going to say like South American or Latino or whatever. So like, I've been doing it with like a Yamo, as in like,
Totally Not Yamo.
like a Yamo. Yeah. So didn't realize you were an Irish boy though. So JMO it is moving forward. But anyway, thank you for the correction. I'll make sure that I do that properly moving forward. Cajun Mike for $5 says, just want to say I love your content and keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Phantom
I hope the
Maniac-
non-Cajun mics agree.
Yes.
Be very disappointing if it was only the Cajun mic.
All of the mics, even Wazowski. Phantom Maniacs for $2 says, we all know Bigfoot is Kane. Come on, guys. LOL.
Gonna kill me.
Where's the mark?
I guess I'm gonna have to talk about that one too.
Yeah. Is that like an actual thing?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people who say that Bigfoot is Cain. Which there's a lot of theological stuff to go into there.
Shocking.
Because I would disagree that Cain is supposed to be immortal, according to the scripture. But, you know, it's whatever.
Ryan Howe for Canadian $5 says, there have been analysis on Patty's body proportions. That is an interesting avenue to explore. That's something a bit more clear than the muscle.
Yes, I will be taking a look at that stuff when we get to the... There's going to be a science of Bigfoot video.
Somebody said the mark is the hair.
No, there's going to be native tales, frontiersman tales, scientific analysis, Patterson-Gimlin film, and then a meta-analysis. So there'll be 5 more videos.
MD for $5 says, most Bigfoot activity matches great apes more than humans. Structure of the foot, no arch, stride, and smell. Have Bob Gimlin, the YouTube one, on.
Yeah, I think once I've finished the series, I'll reach out to get him on as a guest. I think it would be a good one. I just, you know, again, I am so on the other side of it from him. I think, from what I understand, he thinks like the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot is Bigfoot, even if that video itself isn't real. Whereas I think we're dealing with something more like, you know, the Descent.
Yeah. Jose Perez for $5 says, the frame by frame makes it look more real. You should have Bob Gimlin on.
Yeah, I definitely want to get him on. I don't know what his following is like, if he would even give us the time of day, but I'll look it up really quick.
That'd be nice. I mean, we're slowly getting to the point where we can like actually like...
That's true, where we can just be like, hey, bud.
Yeah. Like we can actually have conversations with people. Firebird 24. Do you know that that's relevant to where we live?
Oh, no, yeah. We're
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, we can definitely have a chat with him.
Yeah, I'm sure. My thing was, like, if he's got like millions of subscribers, he's probably not going to give us the time of day. But
yeah,
he's 224, so we can do that.
Nice. Yeah, we'll reach out. So yeah, Firebird 24 for $9.99 says, love your work. I've been developing some short documentaries about myths and urban legends in my home state of Idaho. Any advice on how to approach Native American tribes respectfully for research? That's definitely your...
Ooh, yeah. So in my experience, I will admit I haven't had a ton of interaction with leadership, but I have had a lot of interaction with individuals. Typically, I would say the way to do it is just be very upfront and honest about your intentions. If you have prior work that you can show that shows your integrity. But yeah, it really should be, you know, hey, my name is so and so. I'm working on this. I'm very interested in better understanding topic. You know, is there anybody who would be willing to sit down and answer some questions, or maybe even over email? Once again, respectfully, thank you for your time, and I hope that we can have a conversation. Don't make it, you know, you don't want it to be a thing where you're like making it fantastical or going crazy with the one mistake you can make is being disrespectful. The other mistake you can make is being patronizing, and going over the top and treating people like they're, you know, children. They're not. They're adults. They have stories. So go to them and say, hey, I'm really interested in this. I was wondering if there's anybody involved with your tribe, nation, community, you know, depends on who you're talking to, that would be willing to sit down and talk about it and explain it to me. And then just approach the conversation like that. You know, it doesn't necessarily, you might want to tell them it's for a documentary or for something like that, but depending, like, if that's what it's for. But yeah, my suggestion would just be very direct, be very, you know, respectful of their time, and don't make it weird.
Yeah.
Don't be like, hey, you silly Injuns, tell me your legends. Like, that's not going to work. Neither is, please, I beg of you, forgive me for what my ancestors have done. Accept me. Allow me to grovel. They don't like that.
Yeah, both of those avenues are incredibly, like, racist in their own ways.
Yeah, it's you do not infantilize people. Also, don't treat them like they're a bunch of superstitious idiots.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, if you go out to the boonies in Ireland and you're like, tell me about the fairies, they will. It's going to be the same thing. You go and you say, hey, tell me about the Saskets, to somebody who's a Shalish person from British Columbia, and you're like, I'm very interested in understanding your tribe's tales on this. You know, I would like to know what your beliefs are.
And I would say, just in addition to that, also keep in mind that not everyone may know about it. You know, despite the fact that they may be part of that tribe or part of that community, a lot of these stories, even in, you know, a variety of different cultures over the world, you know, have not always properly been passed down to the whole community. Yep. So don't assume somebody, just because they're part of that community, is aware of it. Always come at it from a curiosity and a genuine, you know, questioning perspective with respect. And I think it'd be good to go. Yeah, it's like, I really think the best advice I can give you is treat them like it's not a big deal. Yeah. You know, if you were to go to a European country and ask about the local folklore, you wouldn't be weird about it. If you were to go to Asia and do it, you wouldn't be weird about it. If you were to Africa, you wouldn't be weird about it. Yeah. Just, hey, I'm really interested in this. Is there anybody who'd be willing to talk? I think that's the best way to do it. I feel like one interesting way to mentally think about it is almost like asking someone about their job, in the sense of, like, you know, the individual you may be asking may not be a teacher. But you start off and be like, hey, do you have, like, you know, in the same vein, it's like, hey, do you have an experience teaching? Yeah. And it's like, if they do, then it's like, okay, great. Like, would you be willing to tell me more about this, that, or whatever? Approach it with a similar mindset. Yeah. And, you know, like I said, though, I do think it's best to, when you approach it, say, you know, is there anybody in your community who would be willing to talk about it? Yeah. That way it gives them the agency, the opportunity to say, yeah, this person's really good. Or, oh, you know, this guy will talk to you, but just be fairly warned. Like, you know, he's not necessarily educated on it. Yeah. There's going to be, you know, stuff like that, and then take it. And the best thing you can do is, once you get that information, just be as honest as you can about it. You know, don't change their words. Don't say, and I think this is actually this. Yeah. Because that's, you know, there are ways to do it. That's a lot of what I do, whether it's Native American, European, you know, Asiatic, whatever we're talking about, where it's, all right, well, you know, the ancient, you know, these stories come from 500, 600, 700 years ago. They're a little too fantastical to seem like they're direct accounts of what happened. So what could possibly have inspired this? Yeah.
that's when you start taking the anthropological angle on it. But that's, that is something that I would suggest you go and you maybe partner with somebody who has experience in this first. Yeah. I had the experience of working very closely with a fantastic professor all through college, so I got to learn kind of how do you construct these things. But yeah, if it's not something you're experienced in, I would sit down with somebody who has a little bit more experience to do the analysis part, to make sure that you are academic without being disrespectful.
Yeah, good guy. Jumping right from that, Blake Fogel for 199 says Teddy Roosevelt kept the big pussy from us.
We're discussing that in one of these. That is gonna come up.
The amount of times it's come up thus far, I mean, how can we not? Also, like, yeah, if anybody was going to protect us from that, it would have been the bull moose. Pumpkin Bear 7 for $5 says, lost a package today, but how are y'all today? Hot take, Bigfoot doesn't want to pay taxes, and I'm with Mattis on this.
Yep. Taxes are awful.
They are.
Remember, kids, IRS... I'm not going
to... Yeah, we're not happy about this year. Anyway...
I told you that I went and checked, and they're like randomly for 2021, they were like, you owe $8,700 because you didn't report your investment income. And I was like, I lost money.
Also, like, it's not investment income if you don't withdraw it.
Well, I did, but I lost money.
Fair.
So they were like, you made $39,000. And I was like, no, I didn't. I maybe did $39,000 worth of transactions cumulatively, but I don't think I ever had more than $8,000 in the account in investments at any one time. And I don't even think I had that much. I'm pretty sure I had, like, when I think about it, I don't think I ever had more than $4,500 in Robinhood at once. So it's literally impossible that I made that much money.
Yeah, also, even still, it's like you only pay taxes on the amount that you made and not the initial investment that you put in there.
Yeah, and by the way, I made $23,000 that year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's insane. Love that. Fern McLaren for some form of $7.99.
Australian, probably.
I thought AUS, we'll figure it out.
We've been over this.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure, like, YouTube just shows it as A.
But then what's AUS?
Also Australia.
Okay. Encourage y'all to listen to some episodes of Sasquatch Chronicles. A lot of encounters and some talks with Bob Gimlin.
I can do that.
Yeah, worth looking into.
There's a reason we're doing this as a multi-part series. I was thinking about doing it in one part, and I was like, nah, this is a bad plan.
Yep. Too much to look into. Mr. Sleepless Out for $5 says Bob Gimlin, the YouTuber, would be the best person to have on the podcast. His whole channel is dedicated to Bigfoot.
I'm getting the sense that we should have Bob Gimlin on the show.
Yep, seems that way. Cakes for $1.99 says, like Norm Bussey has been saying, please do Scientology. That's the opposite of what I've been saying. Maybe someday.
Yeah, I don't really want to be depersoned.
Oh, so you did finally look into...
I did look into it, and it is frightening.
Yeah, there's a reason why I've been a little like, hey, no, thanks. Maybe once we have, like, the ability to be entirely self-sustainable and...
Tom Cruise, baby, what is you doing?
Baby, no. He's got his reasons. Dimitri Miner for $5 says, coincidentally, the original film reels were all lost at unknown times between the 80s and 90s.
That's true. Yeah, there's nothing left. We'll cover that in the Patterson-Gimlin one. I'll be like, all right, so let's take you through the actual journey of this tape.
How fun.
That'll be like that video will be the entire story of the Patterson-Gimlin film from Roger Patterson, from everything we know about Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin and Al Diatley up through, today.
Every time you say Al Diatley, I think of Dyatlov from the Chernobyl instance. But
well, unfortunately, Diatley has passed.
I see what you did there. Incredible. Sharky Fiend for $5 says, it was fun hearing about your local paper, Record Searchlight.
Yep.
Towards the coast, that's a lot of statues.
There's a lot of statues.
Statues, yeah.
I think you meant statues. Yeah, I would love to do like a Bigfoot tour of the West Coast. I just think it would be fun content. Maybe we can organize some sort of trip.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Killing the official data for $1.99 says...
Paulsbo is Paulsbo.
Paulsbo.
I was told it was St. Paul.
Yeah, it's...
Which sounded wrong.
Yeah. Interesting.
Or maybe they meant it's pronounced like St. Paul's bow. Maybe I just misunderstood. That's probably what. Yeah.
Alfarius Omegon for $5 says, can confirm Sasquatch are not that hairy in that specific area.
I don't like that you said can confirm. That's the problem. Is what do you mean? What have you seen? Where have you been?
What have you experienced?
You see, I did "een" every single time, and you said experienced.
Yeah.
Experienced. You gotta keep up.
But like, why?
Commit to the bit, Aiden.
Okay.
Aiden.
Stop me. Echo Warrior for $49.99. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That is so generous.
This is very nice of you. Thank you.
Totally.
Love the vids and show, gents. Keep up the great work. Also, if y'all ever discuss demons on the channel again, I have a couple of experiences from my LDS mission that led me to believe in them and would love more content from y'all on that subject.
All right. I'd be willing to take a look at it.
Fair enough. My mom gave us $5 and saying, congratulations on 400K. Proud of you guys for the hard work. Thank you very much.
We did it.
We did it. We're just kind of, it's weird. The milestones at this point, I think we overlook because we're just so busy with everything else.
It was like, oh wait, that's
like,
cool.
Hey, awesome, thanks. How
We'll celebrate at 5.
Yeah. $500,000.
I guess the current rate will be sometime in the next 150 days.
Yeah, probably like July.
Yeah, what are we at? I'm gonna take a look.
It'd be cool if we hit 500 before our 3-year anniversary.
That would be cool, yeah.
Our 3-year anniversary is June 13th, but it's 13th? 13th? 12th. June 12th. So, if that matters. But anyway, thank you, Mom.
Oh, it's falling behind.
That's okay.
Nobody wanted to watch about Bigfoot today.
Hidden Leaf Shinobi, yeah, I got that right. Sweet. For $2 says, is death by Snoo Snoo worth it for the Sasquatch? Probably not.
Why would you say that?
I'm going to say probably not. Goatboy33 for $1.99 says, bro, I know Jan 4, I turned 27. Yeah, it's,
yeah.
Life gets realer and realer.
Yeah, it just keeps coming. And it don't stop coming.
It don't stop coming.
And it don't stop coming.
It don't stop coming.
And it don't stop coming.
Sharky Fiend, $5.
Yeah, we're currently...
Yeah, we keep going up.
Nearing 1,000 subscribers a day. So yeah, sometime in the next 6 months we'll hit 5.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Woo woo! We're waiting for that gold plaque, boys and girls.
What's a million?
I know. I'm hungry. Sharky Fiend for $5 says, oh, also, a lot of natives will tell you stories about Bigfoot and their ancestors interacting if you stop into the little statue museum things.
Yep.
Fair enough.
That's why I'd love to go.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Jose Perez for $5 says, also, my cat was chilling with me while I was watching Missing 411, and when the sounds came, it freaked out. Anyone else have this happen?
Can't say I have, but they are creepy sounds. The Sierra Camp tapes.
Yeah. I don't have a cat
creepy.
because I'm unfortunately allergic, but I do like cats. They're very cute.
You have a cat?
I wouldn't say I have a cat. I am dating...
A cat? This is not getting better for you.
Dating cat. Not a cat. Little
far be it from me.
Little more human, little less pet.
Like Maureen Ponderosa?
Who?
Have you not seen Always Sunny?
Not as much as you think I have.
You gotta watch Always Sunny.
There's a lot of that show.
Yeah. Get cracking on it, bud. Yeah, 16 seasons to make up.
Anyway. Pumpkin Bear 7 for $5 says, can we get Thornbury to pronounce the street names? Oh boy, here we go. Okay. Chupatolas, Iberville, and Carindel. Or Carindel, maybe.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm guessing these are New Orleans.
Chupatolas, I think, is...
What was the one we,
Cat said, the cat.
The cat.
Yes, the cat. My cat. Mike, what were you going to say, sir?
I can't remember. Oh, yeah, it was, there was, like, Esplanade... A street that looked like it should have been pronounced like Esplanade in New Orleans, and to piss Isaiah off, I pronounced it Esplanades.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody told me that it actually is pronounced more like Gatorade. And I was like, you, come on, man.
I don't know. Free Shabakadu.
Free Shabakadu.
Mike DeRusher for $1.99 says, UFO? No, UFO. Haha, another dumb joke. Fair enough. All Dragons Are Sluts for $10 says, been a minute since I was able to catch a live. Missed the interaction. Love you guys. Keep doing the amazing job.
Thank you.
Miss saying your name. Or I miss saying your name.
Yeah.
So we're glad that we were able to stop by.
Seems like a little bit of a generalization, but I mean, you know.
If you have the knowledge and the information to back it up, who are
True,
we to
yeah.
judge?
If you have the data.
Yeah, if you have the data. Firebird24 for $4.99 says, thanks for the advice. I appreciate it a lot. My name is Phoenix, not the same spelling, obviously,
Aw.
but funny that it relates to your town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do be liking Phoenixville.
Phoenixville is a great spot, no doubt. Totally not JMO. There we go. Got it that time. Got it, my boy, lad. I'm gathering funds for you making a Berserk lore video. If I must sell my kidney, I will. You shouldn't have to sell anything.
Yeah, please don't.
We'll get around
Berserk
to it.
lore could go on the by Berserk you mean like Berserkers, unless I don't know if you mean something more specific, but if
That
you mean
sounds more like a
Berserkers
History Hut
in general,
video.
History Hut, yeah. Hey, Jeggings, I see what you're doing there.
Phil Mianis?
You would pronounce it Phil Mianis, but I'm pretty sure he was trying to say Phil my anus.
Ah.
Yeah. It could be that there's actually a person named Phil Mianis, and that was a completely legitimate question.
Well, I was thinking of what's the guy from...
Rick Moranis?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna be...
I love how you just knew.
Yep. There's no Phil my anus spelled that way.
Amazing. Also, totally not JMO for $6.39. Love the specificity. Says, the Watchers observed they send the ossifiers. I'm afraid. You're falling off the ledge right now. Fruit Squisher for $2. That's an amazing use.
Oh yeah, no, PKA, those guys, Taylor wasn't. He was, yeah, they said just watch your PKA podcast.
Yeah,
they were awful.
That was a brutal.
Dude.
That was a hard watch.
Like, why bring a historian and folklorist on and then ask him about, like, the Russian-Ukraine war? And then everything I said, they, like, acted like I was insane, and then I turned out to be right.
Yeah. Hey, they were doing it for the views.
I was right about almost everything I said. And one of the things I said was like, yeah, I feel like, the reason that the numbers are getting so high in this Alex Jones thing, like into the billions of dollars in restitution, is because they're trying to make an example of him.
Yeah.
Because at no point in history has a multi-billion-dollar defamation suit happened. And they were like, oh, that's what you're surprised. And meanwhile, I'm not like an Alex Jones fan at all. Like,
it's just like a statement. Like,
I was just like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, based on the numbers here, it seems like they're probably trying to make an example of the guy, which, like,
fair enough.
shouldn't be surprising.
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, like,
Incredible.
I would think a guy that was targeted by the federal government because what he was doing with guns wasn't illegal, but they didn't like it, would be a little bit more skeptical of the government. But
got it.
yeah, Kyle.
Yeah.
FPS Russia. Like, my favorite thing about FPS Russia is it's like he was doing all this crazy stuff, making guns look super cool on YouTube, so they get him for marijuana possession. It was like an Al Capone kind of thing. I'm like, dude, you got pinched for something you didn't even, like...
Yeah.
You should know this.
Yeah.
You're gonna argue with me about this, dude?
And now look at the proliferation of gun tubers on the platform.
Like...
Insane. Alfaris Megan for $5 says, I was only supposed to be in the woods overnight. I was kept there for several. It was quite wild time, and I'm still not sure how to feel about it. Interesting.
The sad part is there are actually people who have come forward and been like, I had a one-night stand with a Bigfoot. And you're like, okay. Was it musky?
Oh, moving on. Goosey for $2 says, love y'all, keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pumpkin Bear 7 for $5 says, that is pronounced carondolet. Carondolet.
I don't think those are the words.
They're not. I just was having fun. Iberville is Iberville. Okay, yes,
Yeah.
that was right. And then
Chapatoulas.
Chapatoulas.
Yeah,
Esplanade.
yeah.
Esplanade. Fair enough. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with New Orleans. They're like, half the time they're like, I'm going to pronounce this French word like a French word. And then other times they'll be like, I'm going to pronounce this French word like it's not French and also not English.
Because you have to remember, once we bought it, a bunch of Americans moved in.
Yeah, true. And a bunch of Italians.
Yep.
And they did not like that.
No, at least somebody didn't.
They lynched us.
Yeah, what?
The largest mass lynching in U.S. history was 11 Italian guys in New Orleans.
Really?
It's
I
one
thought you were referring to the Axeman.
Oh no, it's one of the things that led to the establishment of Columbus Day as an official holiday.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Italy actually threatened. Yeah. There was concern that Italy and the United States would go to war over it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I'm pretty sure like the Italians called their diplomats back from our embassies.
That's insane. NC Squatch for 556, nice, says, hey fellas, it's the first time I've caught y'all live in a while. Just wanted to say keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Berserk the manga, he says. Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah. Also 518, love the specificity.
Forgive. I apologize for the previous comment. I entered into an odd state. What happened?
Amazing. No, that's even better.
Oh boy, entering into an odd state. Feels like, I don't know, like maybe Idaho.
Oh, I thought you were going to say just like a normal.
No, Idaho just seems like an odd state.
Yeah, that's fair. It is. It's a
what
weird
do
shape.
they do there?
Potatoes.
I hope not.
I will say Boise was surprisingly nice.
I believe it.
Yeah. It's a good little town. Alferis Omegon for $2 says it was only slightly musky.
I want to be very clear that I have no further questions.
Yeah, that's all I need to know.
While he's not looking, I have further questions.
What'd you say?
What?
What are they selling?
Chocolates.
I remember chocolates.
I hated it.
Amazing. We're out of super chats.
Oh boy. And it's 8:45 p.m., so that actually kind of works out.
We have a video to finish. It's a good thing it's Sunday and I don't have to get the ad done tonight, thankfully.
Yeah. All right. Well,
finally on time.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for all you do, for hanging out, for giving us the opportunity to do this for a living, because yeah, if you had told 16-year-old me that he'd be talking about Bigfoot for a living, he would have laughed at you. Oh my God, Firebird sent in a $2 chat.
Firebird said, can't confirm Idaho can be odd.
Idaho.
And another one from
I'd have a beer.
I'd have a beer. I'm surprised we're not having a puppet right now. You want to read it?
Also, Matt, I just want to say, watching you eviscerate Call of Duty streamers and flat earthers has become a necessary part of my daily X intake. Oh yeah, head over to @LoreLodge on Twitter if you want to see me beef with flat earthers. And also make fun of Call of Duty streamers for being just so incredibly whiny.
Yeah. I don't watch them, so I wouldn't know.
I don't either. That's the funny part, is they always respond to me and they're like, what was your, they're like, how many clips you got? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, dude, I've been playing Call of Duty for 20 years and I am not as whiny or obsessed with it as you are. Somebody who was like 19 was saying something, that had been streaming for like 3 years, and I was like, dude, I've been playing Call of Duty since you were born.
That's wild.
That's wild. Dude, I was playing Finest Hour when you were in diapers. I was playing Finest Hour on a PlayStation 2 when you were a baby. Do not deign to come to me and call me. It's like the what's the Narnia quote? Do not cite the deep magic to me, which I was there when it was written. Yeah. That's me whenever one of these like 18 to 20-year-old Call of Duty streamers says anything back. I'm like, listen, dude.
You should challenge them to 1v1s. That'd be fun stream stuff.
I was streaming Call of Duty Warzone before you were like of legal age. 4 years ago. Yeah. That's how baby you are to me.
Wild. We got two more. Goatboy33 for 199 says, Captain Sir John Franklin's Lost Expedition.
Ooh, as in Franklin, Northern Passage Franklin?
I believe so.
Dude, that's up your alley too.
Yeah.
Also, great song that references the Franklin expedition is Northwest Passage by Unleash the Archers. Phenomenal. It's a like metal... It's a metal cover of an old folk song.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really good. If you like Sabaton, it's up your alley.
Nice.
The state may have been Delaware. That is an odd state.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's a brutal state.
Yeah, I remember when I was in high school, I had a teacher, a history teacher, my US Gov teacher, who was from Delaware, went to Delaware, and mentioned Fight. I would occasionally make fun of Delaware in the class, but I think he mentioned Fight Club or something. Yeah, I mentioned Fight Club, but oh yeah, he was talking about That's what it was. He was talking about Delaware and how it's like the financial capital of the United States. Like all of the banks are like headquartered there because of the tax laws.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, actually, in Fight Club, when they blew up the Wilmington skyline, they did that for real and nobody noticed. He just looked at me, he was like,
that's great. Also, yeah, JD Petty is correct. The next Weird Bible comes out this Thursday. I'm editing
it's a fun one
as we speak.
It's a fun one.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good time.
Are you keeping in the 5 minutes of Isaiah, you and me just laughing uncontrollably?
Depends how much we say in between the laughter.
That's true. It's who hath done this?
Oh, it's gonna be a good one.
Oh boy,
it's gonna be a good one.
Okay.
One more.
Oh, Kellen, the official data said I was PC gaming on a Commodore 64 in the 80s. Yeah, all right, you got me beat.
Yeah.
You got me beat there. Oh.
Incredible.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out. This was real.
It's been
real.
It's been a show.
Actually, it might have been a hoax based on the content,
it
but
might have been incredibly fake.
We'll see. I'd like to say that it's been real, but it's been fake as hell. If you're in the know, you know. You don't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
We're AI.
What? I was referencing an Avril Lavigne and All Time Low song that came out over the summer. What are you talking about?
I was just talking about the fact that you kept saying it like it's fake, it's all fake. It's like, yeah, we're AI. I don't know what to tell you. We were an experiment that IBM started 3 years ago. Look at how well it's going.
Yeah, the reason that we so rarely show my legs is that it's taxing on the computer to generate the legs. So
despite it being like the best supercomputer in the world for whatever reason, processing power for below the waist rendering really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I won't make the we can't show him because to generate an accurate version of the Donkadonk would be incredibly difficult. It would take up so much, like, gigabytes of RAM.
My nickname's Thornbussy, but I don't think people understand.
It's Thorn Booty if we're being real.
Yeah.
We
don't know where it comes from.
You got the dumper back there.
It's just, I have a wide load sticker on my pants.